Don't let YouTube decide what information you get. That's your choice. YouTube is deleting our videos and cuts you off from a source of honest reporting. Make sure you don't lose access to NTD's news content, and take a quick moment to subscribe to our newsletter so no matter what happens here, you'll keep your access to a trustworthy news source.
On to vaccine booster shots. The AstraZeneca vaccine's designer says antibodies are lasting well. So in her view, the booster isn't for everyone. Oxford University professor Sarah Gilbert tells The Telegraph that she isn't supportive of a widespread booster shot campaign in the UK. Gilbert says it makes sense to give a booster to people with weakened immune systems, like the elderly. But she opposes a boost all effort because antibodies are lasting well in most people. Gilbert also has called into question the push to vaccinate children because most of them are not at risk of death or hospitalization. Instead, she told the newspaper the focus should be on getting more vaccines into countries with low vaccination rates. Her scientific opinion is very different from medical agencies in the U.S., which call for children 12 and up to get vaccinated against COVID. And NTD's Jason Perry spoke with the president and attorney of Advocates for Faith and Freedom to find out more about the constitutionality of President Biden's vaccine mandates.
No, I do not believe it is constitutional. I think it's serious federal overreach.
Robert Tyler has been practicing law for over 25 years. He said President Biden is bypassing the normal process that regulations are adopted.
This is a stretch of executive authority, not even congressional authority, where there's checks and balances and hearings and arguments and debate and a vote by our representatives. This is the President of the United States deciding unilaterally, as though he's a monarch or a dictator, deciding what's going to be permissible across all states of this great United States.
Tyler said without hearing from the experts and without being able to evaluate the science, the mandates would seem arbitrary and most likely lack sufficient standing in court. He gave this example.
Why is he choosing 100 and more employees? Because when you're looking at the theoretical risks of COVID within the workplace, it's going to be the same for a company who's 99 versus a company who's 101. But there's this arbitrary cutoff, and so that is one of the reasons why I think that this law is going to be deemed arbitrary and capricious and therefore unlawful under appropriate constitutional standards.
Tyler also said that a person who chooses not to get a vaccine is not harming a third party, and that everyone has the right to get a vaccine to protect themselves if they so choose. Jason Perry, NTD News.
In France, a former health minister has been indicted for allegedly mishandling the COVID-19 crisis. The decision comes after an investigation was launched by a special French court specializing in misconduct by government ministers. This as thousands of complaints are being filed against the government over the pandemic. NTD's David Vives has the story.
Former French Health Minister Agnès Buzyn has been indicted by a special court for alleged pandemic mismanagement at the beginning of 2020. The Republic's Court of Justice charged her with endangering the lives of others. Buzyn can appeal the charge, but if she's unsuccessful, she may face a sentence. Though there have been investigations in other countries over violations committed by authorities during the crisis, one law professor says this case is unprecedented.
France is the only country to name and implicate a minister for acts that have been committed with regard to pandemic management.
Some complaints against Buzyn are directed toward her attitude, such as discouraging people from wearing a mask or saying there was no risk of the virus reaching France. The minister's case may be the first in a series of judicial proceedings. According to a top prosecutor, there have been over 14,000 complaints against the government's handling of the pandemic in France, including most recently a group of doctors who filed complaints against the government over the vaccine mandate. Dr. Denis Agri, who worked in a hospital, says the mandate is against the law.
I'm calling on healthcare workers in hospitals to tell their bosses that the vaccine mandate is a form of discrimination based on health condition, which is punishable by 3 years of jail time and a €45,000 fine.
Agret said a court decision is only the first step.
I hope the police and judges do their work and investigate. We doctors want to work without the mandate.
The health minister did not comment on the special court's decision. David Vives, NTD News, Paris.
Life is back to normal in Denmark. The country is lifting all domestic pandemic restrictions, which have lasted nearly 550 days. It's one of the first European Union countries to do so. A digital health pass showing proof of vaccination is no longer required to enter any venues, including nightclubs. The easing of restrictions came gradually, with bars, restaurants, gyms, and salons already dropping the digital pass at the beginning of the month. And the mask mandate for public transportation ended even earlier in August. In a statement on August 27th, the Danish health minister said the epidemic is under control. Official figures indicate that 70% of Danes over the age of 15 have been fully vaccinated. Denmark's neighbor, Sweden, which took a more lax approach in pandemic management, also said it would lift most domestic restrictions on September 29th. Thanks for watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to catch all of our programs on TV. NTD Evening News is on every weekday at 6:30 p.m. Find your local NTD channel at ntd.com/TV.
Everything that's reported on television isn't always true, but it should be. NTD, the power of truth. Now available 24/7 on television and streaming platforms.